Hi, I'm Andrew Wasson. Thanks for joining me for my weekly guitar blog. It's August 16th, 2015, and this week we're going to do a lesson covering mini, as in miniature, rhythm and blues dominant chords. And this week's question was sent in from Alan. He's out in Middleton, Wisconsin, and he wrote in with this email. I listen to a lot of classic rhythm and blues, and I really enjoy the simple ways that the guitar is applied in this music. When I listen to the chord parts, they come across like the guitarist is just playing small portions of each chord, sometimes adding in a few filler notes along the way to connect measures. Could you make a lesson that covers these mini rhythm and blues style chords? From Alan in Middleton, Wisconsin, USA. Well, thanks for writing in, Alan. The thing about rhythm and blues is it mixes quite a number of other guitar styles and techniques together. So in the end, this form of music has several ways that we can play over the changes in order to generate both different chord patterns on the neck and different ways to cover the harmonies. Now, since this style has close ties to blues, it will generally contain a number of dominant seventh chords, but the way that we'll end up applying these chords will often be by the use of smaller voicings on the neck. And the voicings will often be highlighted by filler tones played around the chord patterns. So in this lesson, we're going to break down a collection of these mini or miniature rhythm and blues chords and demonstrate their use within a number of different chord progressions. So let's zoom in on the neck and get things started. Well, in the first example, I want to run through the use of connecting lines that will target chord tones and work to highlight specific chord tones and color tones of each chord. Now, these connecting lines will allow for the harmony of the chord to get established prior to the chord itself showing up in play. And the chord progression I have here is really straightforward in that it only uses two chords. We're going to use the A7 and we're going to use an F dominant seventh. But the miniature style of chord patterns I have for this progression don't actually show up until the second measure into the chord's appearance because instead what happens on our first measure, I'm going to play a single note line as an interesting way to help bring in the actual chord itself. So two measures are going to function for each chord. On the first measure, what's going to happen is we're going to have a line. So for the A7 chord, we're going to have a line like this. And then we're going to bring in the chord. Okay, here it is again. All right, now for the F7, we're just going to bring it in a little different. It's almost going to be the same line. You can hear, but the F comes in the root there, and then we're going to have our F dominant seventh miniature chord. All right, and that's going to show up to bring that harmony in. All right, so that's the two measures. I'm going to play all of it together now. I'll give you a really good idea how it all operates. So 2, 3, 4. All right, for the next progression, I'm going to work through even smaller chord types. I'll be playing real miniature two-note segments of each of the chords found in this progression. In measure 1 and 2, I'll be highlighting the sounds of a C dominant seventh chord. And then in measure 3 and 4, I'll be highlighting the sounds of a B flat dominant seventh chord. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to come off the root of the C chord, and then I'm going to do a small two-note punch, just taking care of the flat 7 and the major third, just like that. And then I have a small melodic statement coming off the major third, and then into the root of the chord in the flat 7 and then back. Then what happens in the second measure is I'm going to add in, up on top, there's a fifth there that I'm going to take. It's basically a G, and I'm going to have that with the major third, but I'm going to go and add in the B flat. So that's kind of like basically the C7 chord's flat 7 tone. So I'm going to have that on top. So Just adding it to sort of an extension up there. So it's going to have, well, I'll take it from the top. And then basically what I'm going to do is going to take that riff idea, I'm going to move it down a whole step on the B flat dominant 7th chord. Now, what's really important here is how we still have the crucial chord tones present. Like, the root is there, the major third, the lowered flat 7 tone, the dominant 7th, the 5th is even in there. All the chord tones are there. So this is absolutely what ties in the harmony when, we're playing such very limited groups of chord tones. So, keep this in mind as you're building your own riffs. Well, in the final example, I've mixed the dominant 7th chords alongside of both major and minor chords. Now, the mix applies these harmonies in another interesting way also. The chord voicings will all be smaller chord shapes based entirely upon the upper 3 guitar strings. So since there will only be 3 chord tones and the dominant 7th chords contain 4 individual tones, the chord tones will be generated using partial segments of each chord. So what we're going to do first is just run through each of the chords found in the example progression. So the progression is going from a G7 sound, then we're hitting into a C, into A. So we're going C major and A minor. And then we're coming back around again to the G7. And then we're going to come up the neck a little bit there and play B minor and then into A minor. So it's a really kind of, soul R&B sound. But of course, we're going to cut these chords way down into little 3-note shots off the upper 3 guitar strings. So what we're going to do for the G7 is we're going to just look at it from off of the 5th chord tone. So we're going to have a D, an F natural, and then we're going to have that B on top. Then for the C major chord, we're just going to have a small C shape coming off of the 9th fret of the 3rd string, which is basically an E, it's major 3rd. And then we're just having the rest of the chord tones barred there across 8th fret of the top 2 strings. And then what we're going to do next is just simply add in a 10th fret note on the 2nd string. It's an A, and it's going to convert the C major into an A minor. Then we're going to take another version of the G dominant 7th, but we're going to play it up off of 10th, 8th, and 10th frets. And what that's giving us there is our F, our dominant 7th tone, is now in the bass. We've got the G root that's found on the 8th fret of the 2nd string. And then up on top is the D, so that's basically the 5th. So it's cut down and we're losing the major 3rd there, but it's still, nice sound. It's got the dominant 7th tone in it. And then we're heading up the neck with a shape that's similar to the A minor that we had done a moment ago. It's just going to be up a whole step to create a B minor. So that's using the frets of 11, 12, and 10. And we're going to drop that down to bring it around to an A minor. So B minor up at the 10th position, and then A minor when we get to 8th position. So all together, basically, it is going to sound like this. And that's covering a sound of this harmony. And up top. nice sound. As you can tell, the sound of applying this style of upper 3-string, 3-note harmony will produce a very unique effect, and it sounds great too when you flip from one register to the other as well. And it's one that works especially well if you're performing in larger groups where multiple guitar players are going to be playing the same chords. Well, when any guitar player wants to develop a new sound or a new genre of music to play in, new musical style of playing guitar in, they need to study the famous players that are making the music in that style. So this means when a style like soul music or R&B catches your ear, has your self-curious about what types of voicings on the neck are being used, the chord qualities and the fretboard shapes that are being used, you need to basically start researching this. You need to get heavy into it. Go online, check out a lot of songs, check out the sheet music for the songs, get into using the chord charts that people have developed and run through the lyrics and see how everything is balancing against the vocal lines for all the songs that you're interested in. Better yet, sit down and spend time just using your ear to lift off the sounds of the different chord qualities you're hearing in these tunes. If you do this, you will basically develop the style faster. It'll make more sense to you. You'll be able to play it better. You'll have a better feel and groove through it. It's basically the ultimate way to go in learning a style like soul, R&B or whatnot. Is better than basically any other way that I know. So anyhow, that's about all the time that I have for you today. As always, just want to say thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, and if possible, consider a small donation to help fund this guitar lessons project that I'm doing. Helps out a lot. Every little bit helps. Otherwise, have yourself a great week, and I'll catch up with you next time. Bye for now. I'd like to take a moment to mention another guitar video lesson project I've started. It's a unique guitar lesson approach that I'm doing online, and it's not like anything I've done before. Best of all, it's 100% free. I've called this approach Guitar Micro Lessons, and they're a great way to learn a few new licks or riffs or chord shapes each week. Now, these Guitar Micro Lessons are quick and easy to learn from. They're very short, with each lesson running between only 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes in length. They're published to YouTube from Monday to Thursday on my other Guitar Blog Update YouTube channel, and you can either subscribe to that channel to guarantee getting each new episode, or just visit the channel whenever it's convenient for you and check out the new micro lessons in the playlist on the Guitar Blog Update channel's homepage. My Blues Guitar Styles ebook is a masterclass course covering a huge amount of information with 8, 12, and 16 bar blues progressions, classic blues styles, plus all the important chord patterns. There's over 50 pages of information, including sections on blues techniques like slide, alternate tuning, and bending. This ebook has everything the guitar player needs for a solid foundation in blues guitar, including 27 MP3 audio tracks for easy at-home study. Blues Guitar Styles is available for instant download in the View Our Products area at creativeguitarstudio.com.